everybody. Welcome back to Riverwalk Talk. My name is Chip Harrington. Started the show a little while ago as kind of a public service to kind of talk about some different things, events, and people that are not just in Ludlow, but all around the Pioneer Valley. Today, we're going to be talking very specifically about Ludlow, but it really is an event that kind of impacts the entire region, and that's the Portuguese Festa. Every Labor Day weekend, we all know and love the Festa. We've been around it for a long, long time. It's evolved quite a bit over the years with so many different things, really big bands now kind of coming in, and it's a 5-day event, Thursday through a Monday. So it's really expanded since I was a kid anyways. It's really changed quite a bit. So who better to talk to than two of the people who are intimately involved in the organizing of this event, and that is Mr. David Costa and Scott Gomes-Ganhao.
That's right.
I know, sorry about that.
No worries.
So let me go on this side of you guys. We're gonna Dave, you come over next to me. So we're going to start here, my little podcast here. We start here, walk down the clock tower. We're going to talk about all things Festa. Sound good?
Yeah, I need
all
the
right,
exercise.
Let's get going. So one trick that we got to do here is kind of walk slow, because as I've been doing this over the time, I find that some people, you actually get out of breath when you're talking and walking like this. So we're going to take our time. So as I mentioned at the kind of top of the show there, Labor Day is known, at least in this part of town anyways, about Festa and everything that takes place there. It's a big event. I know you guys put a tremendous amount of work into it. So before we kind of get into the weeds of what is actually taking place this year, what's a little bit of the history of the Portuguese Festa?
Well, Festa started as a result of the founding of the parish of Our Lady of Fatima back in 1948. Back in those times, there were a lot of ethnicities here in the town because of the mills. It brought a lot of immigrants, and every immigrant group wanted to have their own church. Ultimately, the St. John's today, St. Elizabeth's was the French-Canadian church.
Yep.
St. Mary's was the Italian church. Christ the King is the Polish church. Yep. And so the Portuguese people wanted a church of their own. And through the grace of actually the Ludlow Mills that donated a lot of land to the community because of all the workers that they brought over, they finally inaugurated their own parish in 1948 on Labor Day weekend. So every Labor Day weekend we come together primarily to celebrate the anniversary of the parish. And then at the same time, replicate some of the religious activities that occur in Portugal, in Fatima, and also celebrate our culture, our food, our music, our dance. And over the years, it's definitely grown.
It sure has. I mean, I've been, just like you guys, been in town my whole life, and Festa was always an annual, I think it was only 3 days back then. When I was a kid, I think it was, just really the weekend going into Monday, but it was always go over, great food, like you say, great entertainment, but it's expanded quite a bit over the years, and we'll talk about that. So between the two of you guys probably kind of divide and conquer with all the responsibilities that you have to do it. What is each of your roles in the organization of everything?
Well, I oversee it as the president. I've been fortunate enough to have that role for going on 16 years now. And to my right over here is my right and left hand, I call him all the time, because he's my senior vice president. And between the two of us, really, we oversee everything, from all the contracts, negotiations. Dave plays a larger role in the entertainment, and I'll let him get into the details of that now. But yeah, so Dave, do you want to share?
Yeah. I've been serving as a volunteer for Festa my whole life, primarily. I mean, I grew up in Ludlow. I grew up in this parish. I've been the organist at Our Lady of Fatima Parish since I was 13 years old. So I've been very present in the parish community, and I've been volunteering since 1995, and probably took over the entertainment aspect, I believe, around the year 2004.
Okay.
So I started off primarily just being responsible for booking bands and folk groups. Then as the years went on, I gained more responsibilities, and then Scott came on as president, and I stuck around to help him with that. So yeah, my primary role is immediately dealing with entertainment. It's a 2-year planning. We have a 2-year plan. I can tell you, we're here on Festa week of 2025, and I've already booked the major entertainment for 2026.
Wow.
And we're already thinking beyond that to 2027, because we have to. When we're talking about entertainment that comes from overseas, you have to plan that far ahead. So it's a 365-day a year planning. It's not just the week before that we come together and set up tents and do all this work. There's a lot of mental work, a lot of contract negotiations, from entertainment to vendors to food, all kinds of things. And yeah, between Scott and I and a couple of other members on our committee, we're a committee of 5?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're an executive committee of 5 that pretty much deal with the entire organization.
Six actually.
6.
We added another person.
That's
here.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So 6, yeah. We take all the necessary executive decisions, and then of course during this week and during the festival itself, we highly depend on dozens and dozens of volunteers who give their time, just as we do. Nobody makes a single penny volunteering at this festival. It's all a labor of love. And without volunteerism, it wouldn't be possible, And, we're very grateful to everybody who helps.
Yeah, that is for sure. I see the same people every year cooking the chickens and doing the sardine. It's the same. They kind of got their thing. So you mentioned you have an executive committee. Let's give them some credit. Who's on that committee?
Yeah, so a part of the executive committee, we have David, obviously, senior vice president. We have Tyler Marnes, who is our vice president. We have Lisa Weigel, who serves also as our vice president. And then we added 2 new assistant vice presidents, Paul Ludias and Gita Skeda. And really we added the assistant vice presidents to just assist as the fair continues to grow in popularity and size. To Dave's point, 365 days a year is a lot of work on a small group of us. So we needed to expand the board size, the executive committee, to be able to continue to expand the fair and bring what people want most. And I think it's worked out well, and you're going to see a little bit of the return of that this year. We have a Portuguese market, which is something we haven't had in a very long time, so people can try out all different cuisine, different samplings of Portuguese products. And it's really going to be to just educate. And, we are the largest cork producer in the world, so we're bringing some of that, some items to sell. And I think people are going to have a much greater appreciation to the Portuguese culture and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, there is. I just can't wrap my mind around how much work that goes into it. And so when you talk about a 2-year plan down the road, this week it's all kind of coming together. But it's I'm sure Tuesday morning after Festa's closed, you're making those phone calls to confirm that the next year is ready to go.
Oh, I've already made, believe it or not, on an entertainment aspect.
Deposits are paid.
Maybe minus 1 or 2 things. I have all the entertainment booked for 2026 already.
Wow!
And we haven't even gotten through this one yet. So it's a busy weekend. Even I try to do my best to keep a balance also and support some of our local talent, local bands, because I play in one too. So I know how it is. I try to give my musical brethren a chance to play. Unfortunately, we only have one stage and so much time allotted. So I try to do my best to help out the local music scene. But it's a busy weekend. It's a holiday weekend, so you have to book them early. And then, of course, we have some other events that we kind of indirectly compete against. We're not in competition with anybody. But what I say indirectly is, I think, for instance, like MGM Music Fridays, we're not in competition with them, but it's that indirect competition. They might book a band first that we were trying to get, that kind of thing. So just trying to stay ahead of the curve a bit. It's constant planning.
Sure. So let's get into the actual entertainment that you got this year, because I know you, like you mentioned, you go some local, but then regional. But then there's always, typically there's somebody from Portugal that's coming over to entertain everybody. So who do you got?
So this year, starting on Thursday, the 28th, we're going to have Back in Black, which is an AC/DC tribute band that's been around for many years. And
Miguel Gonçalves.
Features Miguel Gonçalves, Ludlow's own, lives right behind Festa.
Literally.
Literally. So there's always a connection. Some people might think, well, you got a rock band for. Well, we have a Ludlow boy and a Portuguese boy on top of it. So Back in Black will be here Thursday night to open things up. We open at 5 o'clock. Music probably about 8 or so. Then Friday we have as a headliner Aquanet, and we heard the news that the vocalist, she's retiring from Aquanet at the end of this year. So this is a really good opportunity to see this version of Aquanet before they change over. And in a nice open setting. So, and then opening for them, they have a sister band that's called the Brat Pack. They're another 80s band, but they kind of do the opposite of what Aquanet does. Aquanet is very much more like the hair bands.
Yeah.
And the Brat Pack is more like Madonna, Michael Jackson, Simple Minds, that the Breakfast Club kind of music that I call it. And then on Saturday, we have Back by Popular Demand. They were actually supposed to be back last year, but due to some illnesses, they couldn't. But we're lucky to have them back for the second time. Is Dancing Dream. They're an ABBA tribute band out of New York City. They were here 2 years ago. They blew the roof off the stage. People loved them. They wanted them back. So we have them back to open things up on Saturday. We also have a local Portuguese singer out of Hudson, Massachusetts. His name's Arlindo Andrade. He'll sing some of his original material. Fireworks, of course, Saturday night, about 9:30. And then, we have our first main entertainer coming all the way from Portugal. Her name is Cristiana Sá.
Okay.
She's a young singer, plays the accordion, concertina as they call it. She brings her whole show, her dancers, her band. So that's Saturday night. And then Sunday, we do turn the page and become a little religious on Sunday, which is, really what our main focus is about as a community, is paying homage to why we're here as a church. We do have an invited clergy, a newly appointed auxiliary bishop in Boston, Bishop Barbosa. He's Brazilian, so he speaks Portuguese.
Oh, good. Okay.
I think he was just appointed within the last year. So he'll come to celebrate the Mass at night and the candlelight procession. We have our folk dancing in the afternoon on Sunday. And then our main entertainment is another band that comes all the way from Portugal. They're called Banda Lusa. They've been around for 30 years. They're very popular. I think everybody's looking forward to them. And then Monday, it's our local day. A little quieter, Labor Day, but we're still here. But things start winding down a bit. We have local DJ Joe Lopes. And it's a good opportunity for the families to come out. Kids go on the rides, usually with the ride specials, pay one price, ride unlimited. And then we're done at 8 o'clock on Monday, and then we're on to Festa 2026 immediately.
You guys must be like cooked by Monday night, when you finally sit down and have a cold beverage to relax. You must be just like, oh my goodness. Because last year, it was like, it was hot, it was humid. It was a great weekend for it, but I know you guys are putting in 16-hour days.
Yeah, the weather is the one factor we don't control, and we work around everything else. But we always say, as tired as we are grateful to have another year, another successful year, and really we thank those that come out and support, because without the people that actually come out and support, it wouldn't be around for 77 years, and we wouldn't be able to plan 2 years in advance like we do if we couldn't count on the community. So, there are so many people to thank, and I won't list them because we'd be here all day. No. But, we thank all the attendees and the surrounding communities, even the states, New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and Rhode Island.
We even have buses that come from Florida sometimes.
Yeah.
Canada.
And Canada.
Yeah, Canada. I remember those,
so we thank all of those people, because I think that's what's made Festa over the years.
And another thing we did a few years ago is we did a little bit of a pivot. We recognized that we wanted to take Festa beyond just this little Portuguese bubble, and we wanted to make it an event where anybody could feel like they could be there. You don't have to be Portuguese to come to Festa.
Yep.
We want you to partake in some of our food and our culture, but we also recognize that we're giving back to those in town who are not Portuguese, and we have to thank our residents, especially those who live around the Festa area, for their patience and their tolerance, because we do understand we make a lot of noise. It's a limited window. But we get it. It doesn't make everybody happy, but we try to, have a happy medium and obey by the rules. And we take out permits, and we know that when that time comes and the music's supposed to end, it ends.
Yeah.
But
I know the dispatch always gets calls from Wilbraham every single year, because it's on a beautiful night, right? That music, and I know you adjusted the stage. So let's talk about logistics a little bit, because that's really, really important to this whole thing that you guys do. How do you partition the logistics? Because each year there's always some improvement made. It used to be like the beer tent, and now it's a bigger area. So how do you guys take that on, and kind of how can we improve it each year?
Well, we take a lot of feedback, and people that are Festa regulars, if you see us on Monday walking around with a clipboard, it's really our time to take notes of what worked well, what didn't. We gather feedback from social media, and people actually that love the fair as much as we do, they come up to us and they tell us, hey, did you guys think about this?
Yeah.
Maybe try this. And we really take that back and we try to work with it. And all the developments that you see is suggestions, and both from the committee level, from the parishioners, from volunteers, and from those patrons that are attending the fair. But yeah, setup gets more complex. It becomes harder each year, and I think we're trying to work with the space that we have. And we have new rides that are coming in this year, and I think that's a testament to us how dedicated we are. We work very strategically with all our vendors, and we try to have them grow with us. So we're not searching out new vendors, but instead they search us out because another vendor recommended them because we were so easy to work with and accommodating, and we've heard that from multiple vendors. And this year, kids, if you're coming to check out the Midway, this was another feedback we got. Parents were saying in these times it's tough to have a kid be there for 10 hours and ride rides. It's running too expensive. So on Saturday and Sunday, our full days, we have a bracelet that now you can buy for one price, $45. You'll be able to ride the entire day. So kids can ride the entire day. They don't have to keep nagging on mom and dad or grandma and grandpa and constantly buying tickets. They buy the one bracelet and they get to ride all day until midnight.
Okay. Interesting. I know last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, we kind of fenced everything in. For security reasons. And I know there's a lot of logistics. You guys work very, very closely with the police department and our, we have a whole dispatch center that comes over there. So what is your relationship with the PD, and how are you guys doing that?
Well, we have a really good relationship with the Ludlow Police Department and the town of Ludlow itself. We're always very grateful for their support. There is an annual meeting that happens 2 or 3 months before Festa, where a lot of, between the LPD, the DPW, the Board of Health, we all come together and just start strategizing what's coming, and then we have another meeting closer to the Festa to finalize details. So a few years ago, we had to make a tough decision. I know it wasn't popular with a lot of people, of fencing in the entire area of Festa, and that really came at the recommendation of the Ludlow Police Department, Chief Alatas, who, happy retirement, Chief. And it made sense that we needed to be proactive instead of reactive. We understand that it's a soft target. There's a lot of people, and it's really hard to keep track of everybody. And so they came at the recommendation that we should start screening folks using metal detectors. And the only way that was going to work was to create a perimeter and create controlled entrances and exits. And unfortunately, we're a church putting on a festival. We depend highly on some sponsorships for entertainment, but primarily we are funding Festa through the sale of bifanas and drinks, right? So that was a major added cost to us. So to help offset that a little bit, we had to make a tough decision to start charging a little bit of a cover fee on the first 3 nights of the feast. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, there is a $3 cover charge to get in. And that was, I tell you honestly, that was only instilled to offset the added cost of the fencing, the metal detectors, the staff to run the metal detectors, and all that.
And I think if we can add, not to interrupt, David, if people look at the cost, the security cost of the fair last year was $110,000.
Wow.
So that's 5 days of security cost that the fair had to absorb. I think there, in Chip, we've had this conversation before, there's a misconception that somehow the town has to foot the bill for the festa. And that's, it's hard for us to hear that when we're dishing out $110,000 for security. So I hope people understand that that's not the case. We do pay for our security on the grounds, and we would never obviously ask the town to cover that.
I think where that misconception pops up is that I think there's some indirect costs that happen because of Festa. Obviously, the LPD needs to run and take care of the town, and they have primarily almost their entire staff on the grounds working for us. So indirectly, some officers might have to work overtime or whatever it is. So I think that's where the misconception comes in. But I can tell you, I assure you, we pay for the entire security of what goes on our grounds.
Yes, and I know the selectmen understand that. I served on the board of selectmen, and I remember even back then when we would talk about Festa, it was like, okay, this is a great event for the town. It really focuses, and it's a positive event. So I know the selectmen are very supportive of like, okay, yeah, we might have to kick over some money for extra patrols or something like that, but it's worth it in the end to support such a great event that's been going on for such a long time.
Yeah, and we do business. Almost everybody we do business with to be at the feast is somebody local. It's Arnold's Meats, for example. It's local butcher shops and bakeries and local restaurants and so we're helping a lot of people out here, not just in Ludlow, but even the hotels in Springfield fill up. The hotels on Memorial Drive in Chicopee fill up. So.
Primavera's busy. Tony and Penny's is busy. The Villa Rose is busy. Everybody's busy.
Everybody's busy those 5 days.
So, all right, great explanation on that part. So, as far as negotiating, when you guys got to kind of get into the weeds and negotiate with a vendor, is that more kind of in your wheelhouse?
I think that's more Scott. I'll let him.
Yeah, the negotiations. Like we have the carnival, for instance, right? We usually sign a 5-year contract. That's actually up this year. So immediately after the festa's over, we'll be discussing renegotiation and how we can go about it, and really over the years, because of the great job that the Festa committee has done, vendors don't really haggle much with us. They really like to work with us because we put on a great product, and I'll use the words that our carnival vendor has told me is they know what they're going to get when they come here. We're not trying to cheap out. We always try to give people a good show. And I think that helps us in contract negotiations because they know they're going to make out well, and they don't mind at the end giving us a little bit more than probably what they would to someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's your as far as the amusement vendor goes. How about the other vendors that are kind of all throughout the grassy area that are selling their goods, and how do you work with them?
Those vendors, it really all depends. It depends what it is that they're coming to sell. Typically we work out a percentage deal, so that way they don't have to put up too much money, and if they do well, we do well type of deal. And I think they really enjoy working with us in that collaboration. It's easier. We provide storage for them. We provide refrigeration. Mm-hmm. So we really try to make it so that it's feasible for them to have their product there, be able to expand on it, and get some recognition. The fair brings in a huge audience, and this gives them recognition for their brands.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're very limited in space because we are. I always say, if you go there outside of Festa and you look at the grounds, you say, Festa happens here?
Yeah, it's true.
It really, just today, being Monday, from 7 this morning to what it looks like right now in the evening, it's a night and day. So many things up. We play Tetris a lot, and we maximize our space. But if we had more space, we would have more vendors. But unfortunately, it gets to a point where we do have to, we turn vendors away because we just don't have the space for them, unfortunately. And then, of course, we vet the vendors. We want to make sure they're not selling anything that would be against our standards.
Yeah.
But primarily, if it's just, you purchase a piece of real estate, you sell your goods, and, you make money, we make money, because I don't like to use the expression "we make money." I don't make any money.
Right.
One of the primary reasons for Festa, it is a fundraiser. Mm-hmm. It is the primary fundraiser for the parish of Our Lady of Fatima.
Okay.
It depends. It depends highly on Festa to help cover its expenses throughout the year, because just like any other church, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Church attendance is down everywhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the older generation is little by little disappearing, passing away. As the organist, I'm averaging a funeral a week these days, and it's sad. And the unfortunate thing is nobody's replacing them in the pews. So, the collections are down. And every church in the end is like a business. It has its expenses it has to pay. It has payrolls, it has bills, heating, electricity, insurance, all that. So that's why Festa is also very important to us, because it keeps our doors open.
Yeah, I would say, you know, a Portuguese church in town is probably faring better than maybe a lot of other parishes in the local region. Do you have to share it with the diocese in some way? Are they involved? Is this just really a parish event?
The Festa adds to what the parish brings in for income throughout the year. The diocese have what is called assessments. Those assessments are reviewed annually based on the income and the expenses of the parish. So, you know, obviously, to your point, Chip, if we have a very successful Festa, the income for the parish will be up for the year, and then your assessments will go up by a percentage, per se, for the year.
It's almost like paying a franchise fee.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that is. What are the estimates that how many, I think last year I heard like 75,000 throughout the entire event. Is that close, or do you guys know?
It's hard to get a firm number because people come and go, right? So on a day, people will leave, they'll come back. We also don't charge for children, you know, kids under the age. We don't charge them to come in, so that doesn't help us get a clear number. And then the amount of volunteers, just on our side alone, it's about 250 volunteers, let alone all the vendors. We don't charge any of them to enter and come work the fair. Yep. So it's hard to judge, but on a good year, I think we're in that ballpark over the 5 days, you know, plus another big factor is Sunday's a huge day, as you know, working the Festa. And Sunday we don't charge admission. So it's very hard to know what comes in for a volume on Sunday of attendance. But yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. If the weather's good, and knock on wood, this year seems like
looks like we're
going to have good weather. And I think we'll be in that ballpark again, hopefully. Come on out.
Yes, exactly. So if you're watching this and you haven't been to the Festa in town, it starts on Thursday, runs to Monday. But to your point, Scott, you know, Sunday, the one thing it's a must-do is to see the candlelight procession. It is thousands of people walking in silence, holding candles, praying, and you got the bishop is here sometimes, and you got somebody from Boston coming out. So when did the candlelight procession start? Do you guys know the history of that part?
That's been since day one. Our founding pastor was Father Rocha. I don't know if you remember Father Rocha, Father Rock, as they call him.
Yep.
You know, he was very tied to the Fatima Basilica for a short while. He was actually the translator for Sister Lucia, which was one of the three children.
Of the children, yeah. Okay. Wow, that's amazing.
And so, you know, the story goes, there's people in our parish who know the story better, but Father Rocha came to the United States. He was on his way to Hollywood to be a consultant on a movie that they were making about Fatima, which is the old 1950s movie that's The Miracle of the Sun or something. I think that's what it's called. But he was going as a consultant, and he came through Fall River or New Bedford where he had family, and somebody said to Father Rocha that, hey, you know, you should go pass by this community called Ludlow. They got a lot of Portuguese people there, and they need a priest. You know, you should go check it out, see if you like it. And so he came. And longer story short, he liked what he saw. He offered himself to Bishop Leary at the time, something like that.
My days.
Yeah. So this is the 40s, because the Portuguese community actually used to celebrate Mass at St. John's and inside the Gremio Lusitano Club. So he offered himself to the Diocese of Springfield, and he came. He oversaw the construction of the parish, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we were the first parish in the United States to ever be named after Our Lady of Fatima.
Oh, that's interesting.
The original intention was to be the parish of St. Anthony, because St. Anthony is also a Portuguese saint.
Okay.
But Father Rocha said, no, we're going to name this after Our Lady of Fatima, because it was very important to him. And on the first Festa, that's been the constant staple and what I consider the most important part of the entire weekend.
The highlight
is the candlelight procession. You don't even have to be religious to appreciate what happens during those 2 hours. It's just, for 2 hours, people disconnect. Everything shuts down. The rides shut down. The music shuts down, and people go to Mass. And then during the candlelight procession, they're praying for peace in the world. That was the message of Fatima in 1917. And it's just, you just sit back and you just say, wow, you know, what a sight.
It's a very cool sight. Last year we had Dave Sadie got some drone footage of it, which was really cool. I'm sure he'll do it again this year. But I don't know, it just seems like it goes on for, I know from the police department perspective, we're like, okay, we're here. It's like, well, they haven't even left over here. Let's go over here.
Yeah, it takes about an hour and a half sometimes.
Yeah, to actually
Give or take, give or take.
to actually make the
And
whole
that's
thing.
grown. The route has really grown over the years as the festa has grown and as the attendance has grown.
Yeah, it's a great experience. So if you're new to the community or just haven't been for whatever reason, go to all 5 days, but certainly try to make it on Sunday if you can as well too. All right, so today's Monday, 3 days before the event starts. What is it to be Scott and David right now over there?
Well, I think the question would be, well, what is it like to be Scott and David's wives and children?
Yeah, true.
We're very grateful we have good wives, we have very patient children, because we disappear from home.
Yeah.
I've been at it since 7 this morning, and it is what it is. So we're tired, but it's a labor of love. That labor is what keeps us going, and we still got a lot of work to go do over the next couple of days, but we'll be ready, and then it just is what it is.
Who were your predecessors before you guys got into this role? Who did you learn from?
Well, I would say one of the big people that made some big changes, similar to what we've done, was Jimmy Malikias. So Jimmy ran the fair and said, you know what, we need to add Friday because we need to do a dry run. We can't just open up on Saturday. The fair's getting too big. We need to add Friday. And he was the pioneer that added the Friday. And then I laugh because, you fast forward 20 years almost, and we added Thursday for the similar reasons.
Yeah.
Friday was getting too busy, and we couldn't test things out. So we added, Thursday.
But we're not adding Wednesday.
No, we will not add Wednesday. We get asked that question all the time. But I would say, Jimmy was one. Joe Schaubs from Ideal Real Estate and Ideal Insurance back in the day. Ran the fair.
Joe Alves, who used to have Joe Alves Oil,
Yeah.
and he's my godfather. Him and his buddy Joe Rodriguez ran it for several years. There's been a lot of former quote unquote presidents of Festa. We actually honored a lot of them last year at a breakfast because last year was last year was the culmination of the 75th.
Yeah.
There were still some folks around from several years ago. I can't remember. Jack Carlos,
yes. Yeah.
Fernando Silva.
That's the problem when you start mentioning names. You're like, oh, I'm going to miss somebody.
Yes,
You hate to do that.
but this committee has been at it now for close to 20 years.
Close to 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
I remember years ago when I had a cable show, I had Jessie Oliveira on back in the day. And I know she was instrumental in getting the statue.
A marble statue
marble
outside,
statue, I
which
think
we
she was-
referred to as the lower shrine. So that
Okay.
was donated by her. It's still there. There's a marble granite stone that says it was donated by her. And to if you look at the procession being one of the highlights, I'd say the lower shrine is another highlight because you can buy a candle and you can make a cross. And at night it's beautiful from the aerial.
You know what it is our grounds, our religious area. We mimic and try to replicate everything almost as they do it in Fatima, Portugal. So I think a lot of people have flocked to Ludlow because they say to themselves, well, I can't fly to Portugal to pay my promise.
Yeah.
What happens a lot in the devotion is that people pray to Our Lady and ask for help. They say, can you please ask Jesus to help me? That kind of thing. And they feel like if their prayers are answered, they make a promise and say, okay, next year I'm going to go to Ludlow, Massachusetts, and I'm going to carry the statue. I'm going to volunteer to do that, or I'm going to go to Ludlow, and I'm going to give a donation, or whatever it is. A lot of them would like to actually go to the Basilica in Portugal, but then they say, well, I can't go that far. I'll just go to Ludlow because everything they have is a replica of what actually happens down there, all the way down to the candlelight procession.
Right. And there's a museum downstairs in the parish hall. Well, that's where the school is. The school's over there, right?
Yes.
So, and that's open typically on a when do you guys?
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday. So
Festa, you can visit the museum. It's a pictorial museum in pictures starting from 1917, what they call the Miracle of the Sun, and all the way to recent visits by Pope Francis.
Yep.
Obviously, Pope Leo hasn't made his way there yet. I'm sure he will soon enough.
Yep.
But there's dozens and dozens of pictures that we actually had to commission and get permission from the Basilica in Portugal to reprint and put there. But yeah, so if you visit all our areas, again, you don't have to be religious to appreciate everything, but there's a lot to see and do here. We like to still consider ourselves a very family-friendly festival. Yes, there's food and yes, there's drink and alcohol, but we try to keep it controlled and in certain areas. But I feel like it's still a fun place to bring the entire family.
It's a fun time. Like I said, growing up in town my whole life, we always look forward to Festa. Of course, back then it was like, okay, we get Festa, then school starts. Now school starts, then they go to Festa. So
Yeah, I kind of wish it was still like that.
right, me too. Me too. I like that way too. But hey, things change as they always do. So if you're around, come on out to Ludlow and check out the Portuguese Festa. It's right on Windsor Street. It's the whole area downtown here, right where the church is. So if you're not sure where it is, just Google Our Lady of Fatima in Ludlow and it'll get you here. Parking is at a premium, I'll tell you that.
Yep.
And somebody who will be working it, I get asked every single day, where can we park? And it's kind of like, wherever you find a spot, you know. On-street parking is legal. Just make sure you're not near fire hydrants and, entrance and exits like that.
Don't park on people's lawns,
Don't
please.
park on people's lawns. There are going to be buses here and RVs and things along those lines. But I think maybe with the new construction down here, that might alleviate some of that.
I think this Riverwalk area definitely has helped to have more additional on-street parking.
Yeah.
Because that is probably our biggest
hurdle
is parking.
Yeah.
We don't have any parking of our own.
Yeah.
Contrary to some popular opinions that think that we charge people to park. Well, no, we don't. The Festa happens in our parking lot.
Yeah.
So, whatever limited parking we have, we give it to our volunteers. We're grateful, for instance, Ludlow Funeral Home allows us to for our volunteers to park there. But for the most part, 99.
You have the senior center. Ludlow Senior
Yes,
Center does have paid parking, so if you would like to,
And that benefits the senior center, not
friends
us.
of the Ludlow seniors. Yeah.
But for the most part, it is find a street. Everything's, even from where we are here all the way at the clock tower, it's a 15-minute walk.
Yeah, it's always a good time. So, all right, that's going to do it. Thank you guys for all the work that you guys do, really. I mean, it's commendable for you and your whole committee for everything you guys do.
Thank you.
And you guys are both young guys, so I'm guessing you're going to be doing this for a long time.
Well, he's younger than me. I'm about to jump a decade, but
You're younger than me, David. So
As long as Dave sticks around and our families continue to support us the way they've been, I think we're in good shape.
Excellent. So that's going to do it for this week's show. I do have a YouTube channel. You can see past shows. It's called Riverwalk Talk with Chip Harrington. But again, Festa 2025 is right around the corner. Have a great day.
come see us.